What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast. We're back here in the workshop, which we are buzzing for. Once again, make sure you get down from the Sunday roasts. They got the meal on Thursday to Saturday. It's 3 plates.
Deal on, not the meal on. They've always got a meal on, but it's a deal, not a meal.
The deal on the meal on. Meal on the deal on. It's 3 plates, $15.95. They're unbelievable. Get down. But again, I'm going to big up the roast dinner. They've been great letting us record in here, and on a Sunday it's always booming. So make sure you get down here. It's in Waterloo on Liverpool Road.
Liverpool Road, yeah.
On your way into Crosby as you're coming off the flyover.
On the corner, St John's Road it is.
Yeah. Boss little spec, and it's always booming in the summer. You know, have you ever been sat on the outside but they've got?
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yeah, it's decent.
It's nice. So yeah, even if you want to come in for a bevy as well, but honestly, the Sunday roast, get down and give them a follow on Instagram as well, and you'll see for yourself how good the food looks. We've also got our sponsors, IGD. Did you see me on my filming this week? I brought you some kit, by the way.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Okay. So you get 25% off when you type in Andy IGD on the checkout when you get to the checkout your order. I was doing some filming with them this week, and if you watch us on YouTube, you'll see their kit and gear and all that in the next few weeks when they create the little promo.
Yeah, look good.
Right, straight into sport. We've got a bit of NFL, rugby, darts, F1, UFC, boxing, tennis, and we'll finish off with a bit of footy. I just want to start off right with some news that's coming out of left field a bit, right? This is brilliant. This out of all the cheating stories I've ever heard in my life, this has to be the best one. So there's a banned Russian skater called Kamila Valieviev. I think that's how you say her name. Anyway, she was banned for having a drug in a system that she wasn't meant to have.
Valieva,
there you go. Do you know what the drug? I don't know what the drug was, but do you know her excuse for having the drug in a system?
Was it better than Canelo's?
What was Canelo's again?
It was beef, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, no, this is better. So this Russian athlete has blamed the drugs being in his system on the strawberry dessert her grandfather prepared for her as he prepped the meal on the same chopping board he uses to smash up and prepare his own medication. That's
steroid medication.
What medication is her granddad taking that she's then having in a system inadvertently from a strawberry dessert?
That's amazing, that.
Her granddad must be jacked.
Oh my god, super jacked.
The lung capacity of a fucking horse, maybe. But anyway, that's what she's put it down to: a strawberry dessert that her granddad made.
Granddad's pharmacist going to be in trouble as well.
She wasn't cheating.
Giving him that naughty gear. So the clot juice.
The clot, that's the inhalers.
It's clot juice as well, though.
Clot juice. That what you're calling it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the inhalers. On this one, I said to Gary midweek, right, I wasn't going to obviously go down a rabbit hole. I just wanted to call him out for being a baldy, cheating little bastard. I don't know if you watched the overlap this week, but basically Roy Keane and Gary Neville alluded to when they were playing Champions League football in the late 90s, early 2000s. Roy Keane and Gary Neville were basically unanimous in saying that some of the Italian teams they came up against were definitely juicing because they were just
super
like
fit.
Yeah, Roy Keane's like, look, I was a fit player myself, and sometimes I'd come off the pitch and I'd think, they look like they just walked the dog. Gary Neville was in agreement, and I think Cara was nodding along as well, which then set me on a little rabbit hole. And who was playing in Italy around about this same time? None other than your man Pep Guardiola. I then done a little bit more digging and found out that Guardiola was named in the Panama Papers, which, for anyone who's not aware of that, was basically, I think it was in 2006 it might have been, it was a massive something like 11 million documents were released, and everyone from Tony Blair to Bill Clinton to
it was investments though, weren't it?
It was just all tax dodging and just like basically money laundering, tax dodging, anything dodgy you can do with money and not get found. It was all on these Panama Papers. And funny old thing, Pep's name popped up there. You look a bit further, when he was managing the Barcelona team, they were accused of paying referees something along 10 million plus. Controversy.
No business here.
Well, controversy just follows the man, doesn't it, really?
I wouldn't say I think success follows him more than controversy, like.
Yeah, but that success happens to come on the back of massive controversy.
Different instances, like Barcelona as a club were accused of it. It's now actually Real Madrid. There's no coincidence that Barcelona were accused of at bribing refs when they had like Iniesta, Xavi, Messi. They were just destroying the league. And now, coincidentally, Real Madrid have been accused of bribing refs because they've got a boss team.
I'm just saying,
and teams just
controversy follows him, and now he's at Man City, and they've got 115 charges over his head. I'd love to see Pep be successful and not have any controversy follow him.
I don't think you can accuse Pep of being the person or the reason why Man City have got.
I'm not doubting Pep's success. All I'm saying is, wherever he's successful, controversy follows him.
Okay,
that's a fact.
All right.
Anyway,
anywhere Klopp's successful, the juice follows him.
Oh, shut up, you tit. Right, and the next little point before we get into proper sport is the NFL is on this weekend on Sunday.
Proper sport? Come on, lad. Before we get into proper sport.
It's not proper sport, this.
Lads, I'd love to see you go on an NFL pitch and just get smashed within 2 minutes and you'd be on your ass.
But it's not a wheelchair. It's not an...
the other leg would be gone as well.
It's not an enjoyable sport, though, I don't think, for us to watch.
It's a lot of breaks in it, like, it's a very stop-start, but it is enjoyable. It is enjoyable. And obviously, anyone's never watched the Super Bowl.
Me.
It's some spectacle.
I'm not going to watch it.
It's some spectacle. It's brilliant. Me and Jen will be staying up to watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but is Jen one of them, like, thinking she's got to be cool?
In fairness, she's
more into it than you.
No, she's not. She watched she admitted herself that she watched this, like, Netflix documentary which followed 5 different quarterbacks.
I did watch that, to be fair. Yeah.
And she said since watching that, I've got into it and kind of, like, I understand the rules now.
You know, I watched that, but it was a bit more like just to see the personalities and the dynamics. I don't know anything about the actual game.
No, well, she from her perspective, she said she knows the rules. That's what. So we'll see on Sunday.
I'm gonna call you Sunday, and see if she
Sunday
does.
She does, yeah.
Well, the big thing about it is obviously if you're a big Super Bowl fan, I've just massively offended you. But if you're just a
Kansas City Chiefs
thinks it's shite like me and the 69ers, isn't it?
49ers. 69ers.
I knew that. Well, anyway, there's a massive conspiracy theory going on at the moment. The Taylor Swift conspiracy theory that if her fella wins, I think he plays for Kansas City, doesn't he? And I think Biden is I'd be mega powerful in Kansas or something. And then she's obviously then going to say, I'm going to support Biden, and they reckon it's going to have a massive input.
Oh, it will.
On
the election. Well, it's already on the next question here. Taylor Swift's debate, or is she good for the NFL, etc. It's already been shown, like, the amount of fans that the NFL's getting. You know, have you seen that video where it's all these dads talking about, oh, this is great, thanks Taylor, because now my daughter watches the football with me. It's boss, that. No,
it is boss, yeah. You know what it reminds me of, though? And I hope I'm not, well, I am massively disrespecting it, but I think it's a little bit like when YouTubers start to get into boxing, because you'd had all the proper boxing fanatics going, this is shit, and I've seen you've got the proper NFL fans saying, this is shit, go away.
Yeah, I get it, but there is a wiser society view.
Of course,
I think it's different with the YouTubers and boxing, because they're actually coming into the sport.
I mean, with respect to bringing new eyes
Taylor
to
Swift,
it.
Yeah, well, bringing new eyes, but I disagree. I think most of the boxing fans enjoy having new eyes on the sport, but they don't enjoy the alternative of the sport and the mockery of the sport that the YouTubers have made of it when they're competing and claiming to be at the level that they're not. I think that.
But do you not think NFL fans will be moaning the fact that many people are turning in to see what dress Taylor Swift's going to be wearing at the Super Bowl?
No, but no. The point is that I think the way a lot of NFL fans will see it is, and the majority, I'm going to say this, and we don't live in America, so I'm not sure I'm going to get any backlash on it. 90% of NFL fans, if not more, are males. Do you know what I mean? And probably out of them, above maybe 50% of them are single, because they can just go and do what they want, and they can go and have a good time and all that. The reason why a lot of males in America, and I know that from living over there, tend to fall out of football is it's an all day, like, it's a proper all day 2-day thing over there. If you go to the
like
NFL
a proper
game,
session, like.
It's a proper session, yeah. So when they get
why
married,
is football only 90 minutes and I still into a proper session?
When they get married, you tend to, like, oh yeah, I've got to go and take my daughter. If you're a male NFL fan, you're lucky enough to have sons who get into the NFL, it might continue. But most men who then have daughters.
So you think it's kind of giving men a chance? Thank God I can enjoy it a bit now without having to,
because you're saying my daughter's saying I want to put the football on and watch it, because it's like,
that's good then. I suppose then
if Taylor Swift likes it, then I should like it. So it's like making
Well, that's
NFL cool for girls to like. Do you know what I mean?
that's cool. I think though the debate though, which is crazy. It's like how she could potentially sway a presidential vote. Yeah. I mean, that is.
You know what they've mad. That is mad, and that's more concerning. Yeah. But you know what? That's probably the parties going, oh, hold on. If Taylor Swift can get women and girls to like NFL, what else can she do?
Yeah. If she votes for Biden, then we're all on it. Yeah. Which is just.
That's not the first time though the celebrities come out and endorse the party.
And it has a massive impact. So I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. We've got the Six Nations going on. Have you caught up with any of it? I didn't actually see any of the Six Nations last weekend. That was
the only one I kind of caught in terms of seeing the kind of the way the match went out was I think it was the Wales one where they were like 27 points up, and or was it Scotland?
Got back to it within a point and didn't quite get over the line.
Yeah. I didn't see much of it last weekend, to be fair. The England-Italy game, I was kind of keeping an eye on the score, but I didn't capture much of it last weekend.
So the Six Nations is going on, and something that was really interesting for me this week, and I was absolutely fascinated by the debate. I love TalkSport, and it's not often you see Jim White and Simon Jordan not really knowing what to say back to a guest that they disagree with. And this professor from whatever university he was from, who was very articulate, really bright, and he's come on this show. He's probably had this information for a while, and now that the Six Nations is on and it's in everyone's kind of forefront, he's kind of waited to drop it. And he's come on to TalkSport, and he's basically discussing, and don't get me wrong, he used language that was very, it caught your eye, it caught your ear, if you like it. The headline caught your eye, and it said
the clickbait, but
but it was clickbaity, but it had some, genuine substance. And it was basically saying that rugby and boxing, if as a parent you are allowing your children under the age of 16 to take part in rugby or boxing, then it's basically the same as child abuse. Now, I think when you hear child abuse, you think of, nonsense, don't you, and stuff, and and the Jimmy Savile stuff and that, and I think so straight away you're like, whoa, hang on. So that's where it becomes a bit clickbaity. But his argument basically is the stats will tell you with rugby and boxing, as we've seen with, the NFL as well, we've just mentioned the concussion rates, getting a bang to the head, what that can cause later on in life, depression, suicide, all these massive whole host of mental problems. And his basically idea is basically argument, and the crux of it is, which is really, it's quite difficult to go against, and that's why Simon Jordan and Jim White struggled. As he said, when it comes to having sex, you've got to be 16, because we're saying
you're making
children,
a decision,
when it comes to drinking, there's an age limit. When it comes to voting, there's an age limit. So as adults, we've put age restrictions on children because we think you're not capable of making a correct decision. So we're taking that decision away from you. The same goes with rugby and boxing. He's basically saying, children shouldn't be allowed to say, I want to play rugby, I want to play have a go at boxing.
Because they don't understand the implications.
Because they don't understand the implications.
The long-term implications,
And the long-term implications are, the factual, that, brain damage, brain trauma, all these massive, things, which we're now seeing, and there's now medical evidence. So it then brings into, the broader question, what do you do? Do you stop your kid playing rugby? Or do you only make him play rugby where it's no tackling? Do you let your kid box, but he's not allowed to punch to the face, to the head? When it's it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, there have been adaptations to both them sports over the last 20, 30 years, including like tag rugby up to a certain age with kids. Obviously head guards in rugby, which don't, rugby and boxing and rugby, which don't completely take away the idea of, or the concussion impact. In fact, there's been studies that indicate that boxing, in the way that you use 14 ounce, 16 ounce, or whatever gloves, makes it even more prone to concussion, because you're not feeling it. Whereas, say for instance, bare knuckle boxing,
you're out cold, aren't you? Straight away.
Someone hits you, you're feeling it, it's done. Whereas that consistent pounding that goes on in boxing, because you maybe don't feel the initial impact and that pain, it can make it worse. And the same could be argued with rugby, I think. Look, I'm certainly not in a position to be arguing against that, and unfortunately at this moment in time, neither of my kids are involved in either of them sports, otherwise I'd be feeling a lot more anxious. But
this guy made a good enough kind of argument that they've invited him on the show, so if anyone wants to see this kind of argument, the debate play out properly.
He's a big boxing fan, he'll be going away trying to do his homework, trying to get as much.
Do you know what was brilliant on it though, is they had him on Zoom, and I was, he said his piece, and his piece was really compelling, he spoke really well, and I was thinking, And Jim White was kind of pushing back on him, and he was like smoking Jim White with his answers. And I was just waiting for Simon Jordan to jump in.
He's just listening.
And he was just like, can't really say anything back to that. Yeah. So, he conducted himself that well. They've got him in the studio this week. I'm not sure what day, but maybe if you're interested there to debate more, get on it this week, Talk Sport. But I don't know where would that would leave boxing and rugby. I mean, I don't think it'll come in anytime soon because there's too much money to be made. You're essentially stopping, aren't you, boxing and rugby,
are stopping
really?
I was going to say, if you're saying that you can't play till you're 16, they would have to come up with an adaptation of the sport that's amateur in order to still develop talent but avoid the contact. So it'd be like...
And you're not really getting the full...
Well, it's the same thing with obviously they were trying to advocate kids not being able to head the ball, which they do now up to a certain age, but it'd be like saying, football is under head height until they get to 16, and you're changing the game, aren't you?
Yeah, massively,
it's not the same game, so it would be and
it'd be something that you wouldn't actually see for years to come, would you? Do you know what I mean?
That's it. It'd be 50 years before you
see what it's had, the impact it's had, but
it's quite scary that when you look at it that way. But
yeah,
you would like to think if he's a university professor and he's looking into two sports that are well established and have been around for so long, he's probably got more substance than people on the other side of.
Oh yeah, though this isn't just some fella in a pub saying I think this is wrong. He's like done his research, and fascinating debate. And I'm with you. Like, thankfully my daughter doesn't play any of them sports, but it would make me think, do I really want to do this? I mean, she tried horse riding for a bit. She done it for about a year, didn't like it, but my heart was gone every time she was doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what though? Now we're on it. My daughter's on kickboxing when she was younger, and I'm more like mixed martial arts. My son's the same. I'm far more inclined to allow them to do that because of the things I said before, and because of the fact it's more about kind of your movements and stuff, but also if there's striking that goes on, when you've been hit. And you're breaking bones, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's over.
His advocate was, go down the Brazilian jiu-jitsu route if you want to do that. So
yeah,
but yeah, I think that argument, or maybe you'll hear a bit more of the next few weeks and months. Yeah, we've had the darts again, kicking off again. I had a little darts bet last week for the first time, and failed miserably with mine. Luke Little is flying. They're actually playing tonight, Thursday night. So when this is out, you'll be able to check on the results. But they're all back in action tonight.
They are, yeah. So it's in Berlin tonight. The Masters last week. I mean, I guess, admittedly, between the two of us, the more of the darts fan.
I have became a bit more.
You have. It's a great sport to watch. But yeah, Bunting came through in the Masters over the weekend, beating Van Gerwen in the final. It was a great final, but made up for Steve Bunting. He's another from the production line of St Helens. Yeah, it's remarkable. You've got Chisnell, you've got Bunting, you've got Littler to some extent.
Yeah,
he's
been
far
brought
to, well, no, he came from St Helens in terms of his actually where he trained, if you like. Yeah, remarkable, that production line from such a small town.
I wonder what it is about a certain area that just makes them good at darts.
Nothing else to do. sorry for anyone from St Helens. I've got family in St Helens, so sorry to them as well. No, but made up for Bunty because so often the improvements he's made as a player. And again, if you don't watch darts, if you watch them a couple of times, maybe you've seen the World Championships. This guy wears glasses and he kind of grins when he's throwing his dart. So he's just like got this like dead cute face when he's throwing. Yeah. But he beat Van Gerwen in the final, which was a huge thing for him, a huge thing for anyone, because Van Gerwen is playing out of this world at the moment. Great final, and that was a big win for him. Little wasn't in the Masters, so he's not in that.
It's the Premier League. I was thinking of, yeah.
It's a different selection process, so didn't make the grade to be in the Masters at this moment in time. But Bunty won it. Sorry, the Premier League is a bit different to the other tournaments. Again, for anyone who's not familiar with darts, it's 8 players who were selected at the start of the season, if you will, which was selected a month ago, and they play an event every 2 weeks throughout the calendar year. It's a good chance for anyone who lives in the UK who wants to try and get to an event.
It was in Cardiff, wasn't it, the first week?
This one's in Berlin, so it's around Europe. There's one in Liverpool. I think it's ends of March, I think. But it was Michael Smith who won the event at Cardiff last week. And it's a good, again, it's always a good card because, you've got 8 players. The one thing I want to say, which brings me back to the Steve Bunting point, he's had a remarkably good 12 months. He's been brilliant. He's climbed up the rankings. His 180 rates in terms of how often he hits 180s and stuff like that, and checkouts, which is basically the score you get. So if you've got 3 darts left, what's the highest score you can take it out in. So the highest check out you can get is 170, the big fish they call it. So his checkout rate is 180. All his stats are in the top 5. He hasn't been picked for the Premier League, and you could say that's because of Luke Littler and the entertainment factor, and he deserves to be there. But Steve Wright, Peter Wright, Steve Wright. I'm thinking of Stephen Bunting. Peter Wright has been stinking the gaff out for the last 6 months. Scottish fella, one of it, he's got the mohawk.
Yeah, I'm on him, yeah.
Awful, absolutely awful. Like, I mean, he's hitting averages in his matches of like 79, 82, and he has been for like 6 months. 2-time world champion, by the way, but absolutely dreadful. And at the moment, he's killing the Premier League because I think he got beat 6-1 last week. He's facing Luke Humphries this week. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get beat 6-2, 6-1. But he's changing he does this a lot, Peter Wright, but he changes his darts all the time. Yeah. And it's like a spoiled kid. He's like, throw that away, I'll try it. It's bad. And I feel bad for Steve Bunting because he should be in there. There's big money in the Premier League darts. And that's the one thing that's probably...
I mean, I'm glad that Luke Littler's in it because it's made me definitely take note, and we're talking about it more on even this show, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. He's got I think I put it in there, haven't he, who he's playing? He's playing Cross so that's a repeat of the semi-final from the season, so from the World Championships.
Yeah, so you're waking up Friday, you're there to check that. I think I'm gutted to be. I'll probably watch when I get in tonight, to be fair. Moving on to the F1, so all the new cars are kind of getting looked at now. The changes are kind of being made. You're hearing about players going from one team to the next, and as with F1, most of the news is coming off the track because Christian Horner, who is actually going out with Ginger Spice, isn't he?
Jerry Halliwell.
Well, he was. He might not be after what's about to come out. I don't know. He's been investigated for inappropriate behaviour. And I've actually put in my notes, be careful what you say, as it's very legally sensitive. Not that any of the F1s here probably listen to the Lego podcast, but they're having a big meeting on Friday morning as he's been accused of some inappropriate behaviour. I mean, you make of that what you will. But the conspiracy then around it as well is when I've done a bit of digging into it. The guy who owns...
Andy's digging is interesting. It's always interesting.
It just sends me down rabbit holes on Google, basically. So you've obviously got Mercedes and the guy Toto Wolff, is it? Yeah. I think you've got Christian Horner at Red Bull. Now, the guy who used to own Red Bull is an Austrian guy, billionaire, who basically formed the F1 side. He was a massive F1 fan. When he died, it was bad for Christian Horner because them two were like busy mates, and Christian Horner basically had his shit shield, basically, you know what I mean, because he was friends with the big boss. He's died, and for the past few years there's been another guy who's come in, and them two don't see eye to eye. Fortunately though for Christian Horner, Red Bull have been on fire.
Yeah, so they can't afford
and because of the F1 thing as well, he's come out like a bit of a hero. But there's kind of
this chance now to oust them.
Well, there's rumblings in like the camp that this is a bit of a coup, basically, and it's a chance to kind of... He's maybe got a bit too big for his boots.
So there's rumours, if you like, I'm suggesting that this maybe isn't all it seems, and it's being used as a bit of a smokescreen to...
Potentially. So there's just massive rumblings going on behind the scenes, and he's... Obviously, Red Bull are really keen to get it looked at. I think they've got external lawyers coming in or something, going to try and sort it, get it nipped in the bud as quickly as possible, as, like I say, things start heating up again for the F1. So this is the last thing that they want. I think they'd rather make a decision before the season on Christian Horner than let it kind of drag on, have to make a decision midway through the season. But I think, though, everything that I know about F1, there's just better stories and more interesting stories off the track than it actually is on the track. So as you're listening to your Sportscast Friday, maybe keep an eye out for the F1, because there might be a few breaking stories on that. In the F1, sorry, not the F1, in the UFC, this week was a big one. Don't know if you saw the fight.
I didn't see the fight, to be fair. I seen it after it. I didn't see it live.
No, I didn't see it live either. But if you did catch up with Molly, the 4 minutes 56 seconds of the fight just before the bell, it was a great performance from her.
It was, yeah, and she looked remarkably thin.
She looks great at the weight. I think
she does. Yeah, I mean, she looked. It's one of them, when you see a fighter at that weight, you're like, oh my god, that, it looks painfully for her. But in terms of performance, she looks great at the weight, without doubt. Yeah,
she actually got performance of the night as well, so she got a 50 grand for that, which she'd be no doubt happy with. And I think she had a bit of everything in there. She was striking. I think she might have got 1 or 2 takedowns, and she ended the fight with a submission. I think she ripped the girl's arm out the socket. So brilliant performance from
her. Yeah,
really wasn't. Deservedly so, got performance of the night. So great for her. And you just want to see her go on a bit of run and take that division.
Yeah, I mean, it's
been a bit up and down for her. Wasn't
we were saying she's had a bad run. I think she'd be the first one to say that, just from a results point of view. And the UFC is so ruthless. Do you know what I mean? Like you lose 3 on the bounce and you're in danger of being, being cut, being dropped or cut. Yeah. So yeah, great for her to get a run. And I think if she can stay at this weight, I think she's got a good chance of pushing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then onto your bag, really, boxing. I think boxing, before we get onto the actual thing that happened in the ring, the controversy outside of the ring was the news that Tyson Fury and Usyk will not be happening. Could have said I told you so. But given the circumstances, people argue, well, you can't do nothing about it. I don't care what the arguments are, as in the reasons why. If there was a betting marker to put a bet on this fight not happening for whatever reason, no, on this previous date, okay, I would have put money on it.
I mean, you made a good point, and I think I was sceptical because of the fact you're raising it. I was like, it's strange how quiet he's been, and then he kind of popped up, didn't he? And he had a flurry of activity over 3 or 4 days, which was like press conferences and stuff, and then literally within 3 days, it was like bang, and it was like, if you're gonna agree with your stance on it and your opinion on it, which as if you call it that, you're proven to be right. He was almost raising the profile to go, well, I've got the audience, and then I can go bang, it's out, and the fact that I've shown that I'm up for it publicly is going to make the fact I'm pulling out look less believable or less bang on. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to agree with you, then
yeah, I mean, I'm not even going down the whole conspiracy. He got cut on purpose or it was this. So I don't know the reason why. Maybe just because he's got a track record of big fights not happening. All I'm saying is, if you said to me, I'll give you odds of 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, that this fight won't take place in March, do you want to put money on it? I would have put a lot of money on it, because I just, for whatever reason, okay, it looks like it's a genuine reason now, but I just couldn't see it happening, and it's not happening now. It's going to be happening in May, which you said there's a new tasty clause in it.
This hasn't been 100% confirmed, but it hasn't been denied by both camps. So apparently that the Saudis are not happy with the fact that the fight's going on, and they don't mess about, as we know, both financially and
rolling heads.
Yeah, exactly. So
literally, maybe.
So the rumour, and it's yet to be confirmed, but again, is yet to be denied by both camps as well. I think Usyk's camp are like, yeah, we're up for it, and we're going to sign it. The new date is the 18th of May at the moment, which has been confirmed. And apparently, to avoid what's happened this time, if either fighter pulls out for any reason whatsoever, they've got to pay the other fighter £10 million.
Wow.
Now, you're signing that contract and subsequently that clause, the fight is going to happen, whether they're fit or not. Now, the reason I think it's important to point that out is not to say he's definitely going to fight this time. It's also a bit of a ethically wrong, clause, because we are talking about, heavyweight boxing, one of the most dangerous, the most dangerous weight, obviously, in any division is the heavyweight, because you got so much power behind that punch. To be saying to 2 fighters, you're fighting whether you like it or not,
or you're
paying £10 million is ethically moody, isn't it?
That's a good idea.
Let's say you're Usyk, for instance, I don't know, you put your shoulder gets dislocated a week before, you're thinking, I'm not paying £10 million, so I'm fighting, and you just end up getting hit clean on the chin by Tyson Fury.
Do you know what's not totally, you could see happening for one reason or another? Tyson Fury's been a massive advocate of mental health. What happens if a week before the fight he says, you know what, I'm mentally not in the right place? Yeah. And the Saudis are saying, well, I don't care if you're mentally on the floor, you're fighting, otherwise you're paying Usyk 10 mil.
I know.
So that brings into a bit of more question. And also, Tyson Fury's gone on so much about it. He's got all this money in the world. Would it be that much of a big deal for him to pay Usyk 10 mil? I
mean, if you were to ask him now, do you want to just fight him or not fight him and keep your 10 mil, I think he'd probably just say, listen, I've got nothing. In his eyes, he's got nothing to prove. I know not everyone agrees with that.
I honestly...
If he was to walk away now, there'll always be people who don't like Tyson Fury who'll say, you've ducked the fight, you've done this, you've done that. But there'll equally be as many people, if not more people, who go, you know what, great, you've beat Klitschko, you've done this, you've done that, you've been undisputed heavyweight champion. You know, that would be enough for a lot of people, and enough. And you know what Fury's like.
Well, that's what I was going to say though. Would it not be the most Tyson Fury thing ever for a week before the fight?
Turn up with a suitcase of money. Just go, here's your 10 mil.
And he just says, you know what, my mental health's not in the right place. I don't want to fight you. Here's your 10 mil.
Maybe.
My mental health is worth more than anything. And then he'd come out like a hero again.
As I say, it's an interesting release cause for a number of reasons, not least Tyson Fury's personality and his...
Yeah, and I think a few people like
you probably get someone to sponsor him and pay the 10 mil for him, and then release a new Netflix series on the back of it.
Nothing surprises me, and he's since then come out as well, done a little bit of a rant saying he's going to fight Usyk, then he'll do the rematch, then he'll fight Joshua, then he'll have a rematch with Joshua, then he'll fight Uganu again. So if you believe him, he's got under 4 or 5 fights in him. If you believe me, he's probably going to pay Usyk 10 million in a few months' time.
You pay him 20 million to let him win.
Maybe. And then there was obviously the big fight this weekend, which you know we were into.
Yeah, you know, I predicted last week, I thought Azeez would have enough to get it over the line. He did go the distance, but Buatsi just had a bit too much for him.
Do you think in the last round he let him off?
Oh, 100%.
I saw the last round back.
The good mates, the very good mates. He dropped his hands, Buatsi, and Azeez dropped his hands after getting hit, you know, with a really solid combination. And in any other fight, Buatsi chases him across the ring and finishes him off. It was a mercy kind of move to allow him to just kind of get his hands back up again and finish the fight. And a lot of respect between the two, obviously, as mates. It's one of them, like... I've never, and I wouldn't advocate anyone fighting the best mate. Do you know what I mean? Or not the best mates, but fighting mates and stuff. And you know, at one point, the human,
elements got to come
turns
into
up,
it,
and I think certainly at that stage, he'd won the fight comfortably.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate. I say unfortunate. Credit to Azeez for not going down, but he didn't get the stoppage on another day. He could have done, but yeah, Buatsi was just too big, too strong for him. But you know what? I think considering the injury he had not so long ago, Azeez, and the fact, you know, I think he can come back and fight him at some point. But I said to you before the fight, it wasn't a fight that I actually enjoyed seeing get made, because I thought they both had more fights to make before that one. A little bit too early for Azeez, as it was proven. Buatsi can now go on, and again, like I said on the last show, it'll be fascinating now to see how Callum Smith takes that.
Well, I was literally going to ask you, that was your next point.
Listen, that is a fight I'd love to see, Buatsi and Callum Smith.
Anytime I've listened to like TalkSport or the Sky Sport, Callum Smith's name and getting mentioned with these two it's not even there. It's only me and you that's all.
But it's a weight comfortably that they both be happy to make, and yeah, I'd love to see him in that ring against them. And there are other fights out there, like I said. He's taking a bit of time with his family at the moment, but the comments and the interviews he has indicated there's a lot of domestic fights that he can make. I think he's, like I said, and he'd be the first one to say he's probably frustrated with the lack of activity he's had, not only in the last 3 years, but the last 10 years. He's a fighter that people have avoided, whereas at this weight and at the weight that these lads are fighting, he's not a fighter that they avoid, and I think there's action out there for him.
And considering he's only been beat by Canelo and Beterbiev, I mean, what a scalp it'd be for anyone who wants to come up against them.
Of course, absolutely. On the undercard as well, that I said it was a stacked undercard in terms of talent. Adam Azeez again come through. I think it was 5 rounds. The stoppage he made. Whittaker, have you seen Ben Whittaker? He's a joke, mate. Like, runs around the ring literally with his hands down, rolling. Honestly, go on YouTube and just search Whittaker Ben Whittaker from last week. And any fight, he literally, like Nazim Hamid, walked around with his hands down. He's ducking and weaving with his hands completely down. Proper showman. You know what, a gentleman as well outside the ring. Like, he talked really well. He was in the commentary team, I think, for the Azeez Buatsi fight. Just sitting down, not a mark on him.
What, after his fight?
Yeah, after his fight.
Wow.
But again, put on another show. Look, everyone will tell you, you know, you're going to come up against better fighters where you're maybe not going to be able to do that. You're going to get bingos at some point. But while it's happening, you've got to enjoy it and got to have respect for the movements that he's putting in to make pro fighters look so silly. And a fight coming up this weekend. There's not really any boxing this weekend, but Hamza Shiraz and Liam Williams are getting into the ring. Shiraz is a huge talent. I think he's only had 6 pro fights, but he's blowing people away. He's really being bigged up massively. Liam Williams is a warrior.
It's Liam Williams who was going against Liam Smith.
He is, yeah. Had a few tear-ups with Liam Smith. He's had many a tear-up. Always gets himself into great shape. He must be in his, maybe 36, 37 now. But he's a tough fighter, Liam Williams. And if Shiraz isn't at his best, then, I can see... In fact, on record to say, I think... I reckon Liam Williams could beat him. And he's at a big price this weekend. If you're looking for value and you just want to watch the boxing this weekend and enjoy it, but for a bit of value, I think he might be 6-7 to 1 or something, which for a fighter of Liam Williams' calibre is extremely high. I think Shiraz is 1 to 6.
And that's this weekend, yeah?
Yeah, that's this weekend, so one to look out for.
And then before we finish off, mate, on the footy, because there is quite a bit of footy to get through, I noticed that the match is going on right now, but...
to see that name, and I'm like...
No, only because it's just, in general, British tennis, we spoke about it, it's just not in a good place, is it, at the minute? And both... I was going to say Emma Watson, that's the actress, isn't it? Laura Watson. Emma Raducanu, both looks like to be out of the last 16. It just needs, doesn't it? And tennis needs something in the UK because...
Investment, mate. They've got away with it. The LTA have got away with it for a long time. And they've been saved by Andy Murray 10 years ago, and he's kind of, pulls it back. And there's been a few male tennis players who've done okay.
There's a lad as well, Liverpool, isn't it? Skupski.
Yeah, well, the Skupskis of family. Going back, Ken Skupski, is it 10, 12, 15 years ago? Yeah. He has an half-decent career, not...
And the doubles, there's lads in South Liverpool,
the Skupskis, as a family, have been brilliant. But look, that's...
But in general,
it's a small, for a country of our size, population...
That dominates so many other sports as well, whether it's football, boxing,
Unfortunately, it's one of them sports where there's a lack of facilities, and again, I point to the LTA. There's not enough facilities in inner city areas. Yeah. I mean, I remember I used to, whenever Wimbledon was on, admittedly it was the main time, I'd go to Stanley Park. The nets would always be ripped and all that. It was terrible, Nick.
Yeah.
There's a few places around Crosby but they don't get maintained. Yeah. It's only concrete.
And it's expensive, isn't it? If you're going to go into a proper court, it's expensive.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of tennis clubs in Blundell Sands, but anyone who lives in Liverpool knows Blundell Sands is not not an inner city area. Yeah. And as you say, it's not expensive, not cheap to play.
No. Mate, we'll finish off the last part of the show with football, and we'll start off by saying a big round of applause to you for getting your betting last week. Nice 4-5 to 1 winner, which I benefited from, so thank you. It flew in, to be fair, as well.
Yeah, it is, and I put in any of the patrons who obviously get the bet. I put in a little write up. I said, if I don't get this one in, or if I don't at least get close, I'm gonna let Andy take over again, because Andy's has a great record, as you all know. But I think it's interesting. We can both
yeah, no, listen, you're doing it again this week after last week, so yeah, keep it up, mate.
Yeah,
it was good.
It did fly in, and I enjoyed that myself. So hopefully a few people got on. If he didn't get on, again, as I urge you, listen, it's, as Andy says, and we always say, it's a cup of coffee, it's a pint, the cost of a pint or whatever, it's nothing. Yeah. And if you've had a tenner on that, you're 50 quid up.
Yeah, you will have paid for your Patreon for a year if you've done that. So it's and it means a lot to us. Keeps the podcast going by you signing up on Patreon. So if you can spare £4 a week, £4 a month, which it is, we really do appreciate it. And like I say, one win from Gary, and it's your annual year paid for. So on to footy then. Liverpool humbled is probably the only word I will say, which was mad because it was just such...
I wanted to finish on that. I wanted to leave with a big smile on my face. No, I'm only messing. Go on, you started.
What was most shocking for me is we played Chelsea on the Wednesday, and it was probably one of the best 45 minutes of football I think I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years from that Liverpool team. I don't think Chelsea, that first 45 minutes, I don't think Chelsea had the ball for more than 7 or 8 seconds before Liverpool had won it back again. No, it was so dominant. I think Chelsea had the first shot in the last minute, and then we go there to Arsenal, which is going to be a tough game, but we just not at the bases. No. Do you know what?
And people says it obviously on the the people in the studio and whatever, and people says it in subsequent days. Think on like Sky Sports News and whatever. It just has a feel from the get go. Like Arsenal just wanted it more, and that's unusual for you. You normally, if there's any question marks, it might be over the quality of the finishing or blah blah blah. But very rarely can you question the kind of you know, the endeavour of the players or the work ethic, but it looked to me like just Arsenal just had a bit more hunger for that.
Yeah.
To get to the ball first, to win them second balls, and you know what? And I'll allow you to take over after this. And because I got this from a few of the Reds, and I'm glad they said it and not me. I actually thought the last time you played them in the cup, it was a similar game, but you just took your chances on that particular night or day it was.
Yeah, no, it was a tough game last time in the cup. I think it was. Yeah. I think listen, we were lucky to go into half time with a draw. I think they started the second half all right, but I do think, and I won't take anything away. Listen, we didn't deserve anything from the game, but conceding the way we did, it sets the tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It gets the crowd going. It's that kind of mistake where every time Alisson then touches the ball, the whole crowd is going. It's like I've seen it happen to Pickford.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? And it can really get into a team, not just that individual player. And I think that just didn't help. It galvanised Arsenal. And again, I think because of those two players, Alisson and Van Dijk, I think the rest of the Liverpool team, the other 9 players, are looking at them like going,
if those two players are letting us down,
we've got no chance type thing. And I think that just kind of swept over the team. Fair play to Arsenal. You know, they took the chances. It was probably deserved 3-1. It could have even been more, I guess. But I think if anything, no, it's Man City that are happier. Because again, I sound like an idiot maybe saying this, but despite being beat by Arsenal, I don't think they'll be anywhere near the title when it comes down to it. I still don't. I think it's a 2-horse race still, and all that did was just play into Man City's hands.
I mean, I'd argue with the earlier in the season, and it is at the start of the season, saying I thought it would be Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool. That said, I just think in too many of the average games, if you like, the games against you Brentfords and stuff, they seem to just make a mess of it. You seem to be, and City as well, are just so efficient at getting them games won, and even when you don't play well, you just get over the line. They seem to struggle in too many of them games for me, certainly over the stretch.
I think breaking teams down, you know, when they play Liverpool or the bigger teams that want to come and have a go, that's when Arsenal can punish you, like they scored 3 goals against Liverpool. You know, we were going into that game with the best defence, and yet Arsenal have scored 3 against us. When they are playing the likes of Brentford or Luton, who are really hard to break down, I think that's when Arsenal do struggle, and like you say, that's when they mightn't be firing on all cylinders when they're playing those lesser teams. So yeah, it was just a bit. I was more shocked than anything. Just like, what is this Liverpool team? I've not seen us.
I was waiting for
season.
you to just turn up. I was like, oh, here we go. It's just going to be a matter of time before he's just. But again, on that one, and obviously we made a note of it, and we'll come back to that one in a second. The Nunez not starting was bizarre. Like,
well, he hurt his foot, hadn't he?
Has he?
The week, yeah. I think he had his foot trampled on the Chelsea game.
That bad though,
a bruised foot.
He looked like he was fuming, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I was gutted he wasn't starting. I thought he was maybe injured, but then he was pictured training. So then you thought, well, maybe he might be good enough to play. Clearly, Klopp thought he wasn't good enough to start, but maybe give him half an hour. And it was disappointing because again, for Captain Chaos and all the names he gets called, that stat that we mentioned the other week, that which every 90 minutes he's either scoring or getting an assist. It's a pretty incredible stat. You know, every time you're playing him, you know he's getting you a goal, whether it's him or someone else. He's guaranteeing you a goal, which makes the one stat we found this week, that the 4 games Liverpool have lost this season, Nunez hasn't started any of them, which that's a crazy stat.
That's mad, isn't it?
And I think that's as much down to the other team knowing his attributes that he's got, thinking, you know what, we just need to stop him either getting the ball, just basically keep him out the game, and then by doing that, it's opening up opportunities and pockets in other parts of the pitch within Liverpool are then taking advantage of.
I think for me, the other one though, he forces the opposition into changing the way they play in some way. So, for instance, if you're getting crosses into the box, he gets on the end of them because he's such a big lad. If you're playing a high line, he gets in behind you because he's so quick. Yeah. So he almost forces, and if you're going to play deep, he'll pin your centre back and he's not
afraid to shoot from outside the box.
Exactly. I just think he forces the opposition almost every time you play against them to change something, thinking we can't keep him getting chances the way he is.
Yeah, no, he's offers so much, doesn't he? So many. I mean, he doesn't
put the players. He probably makes the game easier, doesn't he, for your teammates?
I think the only thing we've just given him loads of positives there. The only thing he doesn't do is put the ball in the back of the net enough. But for everything else, though, it's enough to give the opposition manager a headache, and I think that's why Liverpool maybe don't play as well when he doesn't start, because that was it's a mad stat that.
Going back, obviously, and I'll bring it up so it doesn't sound like you're being too bitter about it.
You've got to mention it, haven't we?
Jamie Carragher made a comment about the celebrations going, oh, come on, you know, get down the tunnel.
I think it's becoming. I can see both sides. I think it happened years ago, didn't it? Because there was a clip come out when Carragher, he never had his beard. I think it was when he just started Sky, and Arsenal had done something, and he'd celebrated over the top. And I think it's a point proven by having a pop at Arsenal and jokingly like saying, God, you know, what are you celebrating for? I think it's fine to say that, because the last time this happened and they celebrated over the top, all the same things got said, and yet between then and now, they've still not won anything.
Yeah.
So, do you know, they've kind of had two iconic celebrations, if you like, and they've not won anything. So there is a point to kind of label Arsenal saying, come on, calm the celebrations down. However, saying that, what's the point in playing football if you're only allowed to celebrate when you're top of the league and winning stuff? You know?
And not just that as well. Like, I understand, you know, winning trophies, that's when you celebrate, blah, blah, blah. Roy Keane's you know, regardless of his position between the two clubs, he wouldn't favour one over the other. But he would say the same. However, I've been an Evertonian, seen Jurgen Klopp run across the pitch when Jordan Pickford made the mess of that goal. That's fuzzy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, I think that got played. Look at Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. You know, when Klopp done it. So
I think that was though against your local rivals, wasn't it? It was a last minute.
Yeah, but
this was a dominant.
In this instance,
this was a dominant kind of. This was a dominant 3-1 victory at home against with like 15 games to go. It's a bit different.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I can see both sides. I think the only thing it's getting kind of thrown at Arsenal a bit is because they've done this twice now and they've still not won anything.
Yeah. Maybe
so
they think, look, let's just calm it until we actually get over the line or do something there. Fair enough.
But like you say, I can see both sides. And just the last one on Liverpool, it's come out today that Thiago has been injured in training. So he come on and played, I think, 5 or 10 minutes against Arsenal. Passed the ball straight to them and they nearly scored. I think they might have even scored. It was a terrible back pass. And now he's injured again. But his contract, I think, is up maybe in the summer. So along with Matip, you probably won't see them two again in a Liverpool shirt, which is sad because what a player he was. I mean, when he was actually fit and on the pitch.
Which was when?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time. But you can't deny what a player he is. He's just unfortunately very, very injury prone. Let's move across the park then to Everton. Still no news this week of your appeal.
Yeah, I think at the middle of the month they've said, so that's coming up to next week. So this time next week you would expect that we would know the outcome of the appeal. Look, I've got no more to say, and I don't. The only thing that I would say, which I've said on our podcast on Across the Park, is there's been some what seems to be reliable rumours coming out from sources that Everton believed that the appeal went well. They suggested the areas that they felt they presented really well in terms of mitigation that we spoke about before, about the fact that this particular ban was unprecedented, about the fact that when West Ham were in the dock over the Carlos Tevez thing and irregularities there, that the words and the actual line from the Premier League is that a football club and football fans shouldn't be punished for a non-footballing sanction. When actually Tevez is a footballing sanction because he played for them. But the point is, the football club have messed up behind the scenes. It's not something that the fans, whatever, should be. And there was a big fine that obviously West Ham were forced to pay to the clubs who were relegated when they had Carlos Tevez on that joint ownership type deal. So there's all those things that were brought up, and we were told as fans that the team that we'd got in for the appeal were as good as we could get in terms of the best lawyers money could buy.
What's that interesting on that? Do you think the money that Everton have spent on lawyers, does that go obviously against their running costs?
That's ironic, isn't it? Well, the other one was, I'm trying to remember what there was something that come out this week around something that was going to impact on. Oh, that was it. It was one of the athletics journalists, I think, who actually put it on Twitter, and he basically said, if Everton, obviously, if this ban remains as it is, and the difference between our position, say for instance, is 17th or 12th, we will lose, I think, approximately £15 million in merit fees, where you finish in the league.
The Premier.
So that would go against our revenue and would potentially put us in a position again. It's like everything they do is going to mean that you've got a bigger chance of breaching again.
At some point failing.
Do you know what I mean? So you start to think, I don't think, and I've said it enough times now, so I'm not going to bore everyone with this again. I just don't think they've ever even considered the ramifications of anything they're doing. I've gone, okay, well, doesn't that mean this? What do we do about that?
But I think they'd argue that's not their problem, or is it? Like if they say, look, you're on this fine, and then that means you're going to lose out on 15 mil because you haven't finished high up the table. That's not their problem.
But we've got the points. We've earned the points to finish in that position. So how would you ever get out of it? Is the point? It's the same. It's the same argument that the likes of Newcastle and different, but certainly Villa would argue. How are we meant to catch up? If those teams 10, 15 years ago were allowed to spend that money, they've got themselves in that position. They've maintained that position, as you have, by selling players. And listen, you've run your club well over the last 10, 15 years. But before that, you've done it by buying big players and back in the mid-90s, you had a big dip. United ran away with it. You had to spend big to get back close to them again. Yeah. How would you ever get there? And how would you join that table again? If you're not allowed to spend. So... And that's what we tried to do, and look, we're being punished for that. We spent poorly, by the way, so that's the ironic thing. We didn't actually get to join the table because we spent so poorly.
It's not benefited you, has it? No.
Yeah. But anyway, look, the decision's coming next week. We'll find out what's going to happen. Back to matters on the pitch. I thought we came up against, you speak about it a lot, about playing teams at a good time and a bad time. With the exception of Heung-min Son being out, we caught Tottenham probably at a difficult time where they got Maddison back. Richarlison is firing as he did at the weekend.
Can't believe he scored, by the way.
I mean, he scored 9 in 8 games now, to be fair.
I know, until this little run of form he's had, I've always thought he was horrendous, and he's come into form and scores twice against you. I've always said,
and I still maintain, I think he's a good player. And I know you say, Everton, some Everton fans seem to have an inflated opinion of him. I don't believe that's the case.
He's proven me wrong lately. He's fired them, isn't he, lately? So.
Yeah, but I thought it was a good point. I thought Tottenham played well. I was speaking to a few Tottenham fans about it after the game, and I just said, you've got a mad style of footy, because when you're on top, you're unplayable. Like the first 10 minutes, we couldn't get out of our own half because they had that many players in the final third. Yet when you break through their first third, and it's like you don't got overloads everywhere. So once you get into their final third, you seem to create chance after chance. But then when they get past your front third, you just it's like over. Madness, it's like a game of basketball playing them. Yeah. You had it when you played them at their stadium. You ended up obviously down at 9 men. It was a mad game, but it's like playing basketball, playing his team. But for that reason, I thought it was a good point, because
deserved. You think then?
Yeah, listen, absolutely deserved. I thought beyond the first 10 minutes where we just didn't get started, we absolutely battered them up till half time. And I thought we were unfortunate at times. You can always say when you get a goal that late that you're somewhat lucky to get an equaliser, but on the balance of play and over the 90 minutes, we absolutely deserved the draw. And if it wasn't for Luton, just crazy performances.
It's crazy run of form they're on, isn't it? Crazy run of form. I think
could have been better.
They're unbeaten in 6 or 7, I think, now.
Yeah, and they're going to places like Newcastle who just beat Villa in the week, and beat Villa convincingly, and they're scoring 4 goals. I mean, look, it's obviously speaking somewhat and thinking about it as a bit of a neutral. They must be bitterly disappointed to not win that game, and that's, you've got to. I think the season, when you're in a purple patch like this, is a bit like the 90 minutes in a Premier League game. You've got to take your chances. You've got to get your points when you got the chance to get them. I think they may look back on games like that when they look, because if Barkley gets injured, if Azeez gets injured, they're suddenly looking like a really poor team again. They've got some players at the moment that are playing out of their skin.
And do you know whether Luton do get in? Let's say, for example, Luton don't get out of it and they end up getting relegated. Forget the performance. People will just look at the results, and they look at, narrowly getting beat by City, narrowly getting beat by, I think it was Arsenal, draw them at Liverpool. The one at the weekend, and there's so many close games as you look at.
They've been in most games.
But even if they weren't and they got battered, you'd look at the results and you go, they were unlucky there. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting if the form can continue or not. Yeah,
and you know what? At this moment in time, unless they get some injuries, which if you look at they've been lucky at the moment. Say that the sports science team will tell you there's a reason why, but they've been lucky. They haven't had any of the key players out at the moment. It's going to happen at some point, and you would worry for them.
You hope it happens sooner rather than later.
I absolutely do, but at the same time, you've got stubborn Crystal Palace, who are still, for some reason, holding on to Roy Hodgson. I don't know why, honestly. If
I would have thought they brought Cooper in by now. If
they'd brought Steve Cooper in 6 weeks ago, they'd be 8-10 points clear. I mean, the mad, naive decision to bring Elise on when you're 3-0 down and he gets injured again. That's a huge blow for them, and I think they're massively in trouble. I think they're the ones Everton are targeting, or certainly Everton are targeting to pull back in. Forest again under Nuno look a poor side.
Just looking at the table, sorry,
Forest look a poor side as well now. I think Nuno Espirito Santo's come in and he's somehow made them worse.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the table now, you've got Hughes on 19, Luton 20, Forest 21, Brentford 22, Palace 24.
Because of our goal difference, though, we're basically on 20. It sounds mad, that. I mean, obviously Brentford may be the exception, but all the other teams, Palace are minus 14, Luton are minus 10.
They've got a game in hand, though. Luton win that, they're up to 15th.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But
it's
Palace,
so close down there, though. I think Burnley and Sheffield United.
We've got Palace next week.
Everton have.
Yeah, Palace at home next week.
So you got Man City at the weekend, haven't you? Whereas Luton have got Sheffield United.
Yeah, and Palace are playing Chelsea.
So you could be 5 points behind Luton there.
You could be 5 points behind Luton, but we'll be 2 points behind Forest, I imagine. I'm sure if Forest have got this weekend, you're going to come that and find out.
Yeah, so Forest have got Newcastle at home. At R5 though.
Yeah, so tough game for both teams to be fair, but
and Brentford on losing streak have got Wolves away.
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy them to take anything against Wolves. But look, it's definitely interesting, if not anything. I think anything up to, I'd probably take Fulham out of it now. I think the signing Brozier on loan, I think I'll get them a few points. Bournemouth look out of it. I think anything up to Palace though is absolutely in the mix.
Fair game, talking about you then, City this weekend. You know what I hate about City so much is obviously we got beat, so we hadn't done our job, but you're just hoping that Brentford could do anything against them.
1-0 up.
They go 1-0 up, but you can't. This City team, you can't even get excited about.
They had 9 shots on target before half time.
And the goal that they did score was so poor, like it was the bad header. But with Kevin De Bruyne in that side now, it is impossible to get excited about City losing, even in they're getting beat 1 or 2-0. Half time, I can't think of what I was watching, but anyway, half time I clicked on the analysis. Couldn't believe they were getting beat 1-0, and then within 5 minutes, Foden's
bang
done. And it just looks inevitable now, doesn't it? Really, that this City train's gonna steamroll.
Yeah, and I was speaking to a City fan podcast just to preview the Everton game at the weekend, and he was saying and probably should have known, but he said we've got everyone fit now. Everyone's fit. He said, and you're looking at it now, and he said that bench now, you've got 7 players on that bench who are going, why aren't I playing? Grealish hasn't played for ages. He's been in and out of the team. You've got Alvarez who comes in and out all the time. Foden scores a hat-trick at the weekends, may or not play. Jeremy Doku's back, who again hasn't even done nothing this season yet, and he's still a remarkable talent. So much depth.
And to finish then, or to kind of round it off now on City, the other thing which I sound like proper bitter all kind of episodes, but
Girona, not Gordon.
They've just signed, signed a player. He's basically played for 2 of their parent clubs. So, I think he's a young kid from Brazil.
Savio.
His name's Savio. They've scouted him early. They've done the job. He's went to one of the parent clubs.
Got him into the group, yeah.
And then he's went into Girona.
Was it New York City FC first? Or was it...
I'm not sure what the one before Girona is, but he's went to wherever... One part of the City umbrella, then he's went to Girona, which is part of the City umbrella, and now they've just done a deal and he's going to go there next season. I don't know how this is allowed. I genuinely don't know.
I'm not having it. Honestly, we've spoken about this before.
Okay, but listen,
other clubs do this though. Other clubs do this where they'll, regardless of teams being in their group, you have probably got 6 or 7 clubs around the world where you'll say, right, sign this player. You haven't played in your team for a few seasons.
This is a legally business thing that they're doing. It's like a monopoly of it, the whole system.
Has it monopoly the whole system? He's still got to do well in La Liga.
Of course, but
he's still got to sign him for the other clubs could try and sign him.
Other
clubs have tried to sign him.
Okay, listen. Okay,
it's got to be a market. It's got to be a fair market.
Number one, I'll give it to you that he's got to be good. I get that. But let's say he is decent, right, and he's getting scouted by all the teams in the world, right. But you, as a business who've own 15 clubs, right, and they say, look, we want to sign you, and our main plan is to get you to our top table, which is the Man City. Okay, so we're going to play you here. Then when you get good enough for here, we'll put you there. And then when you go there, you go there. Let me just hang on. And then you'll be there, right? As opposed to the other options might be, come to Real Madrid, and you might get a game, but we've just bought Bellingham, we've got Cannavaro, we've got all these players, or what his name is, the Camavinga, yeah. And you might get in, but you might not. If you're a young lad and you're going, well, hang on, Pep's already talking about him, he's at the top, and then they've got a actual pathway for me. No. That is much more desirable than signing for Real Madrid and might not getting a look in. Surely you agree with me on that?
No, it is, but the point is that my point is every club has got a network of other clubs that they'll feed players through, whether it's part of their group or not. There's still money changing hands. There's still back in the day, back in the 90s, you literally had Crew Alexandra on tap.
I know, but this isn't just
and
Liverpool.
You were giving them millions of pounds into their academy, and it still goes on now.
But this isn't just going Liverpool to Crew and there's just one deal. This is a kind of...
No, what I'm saying though, every club's got a network though.
I know, but
it's just that they formalised it.
But this is an actual pathway.
But it's a pathway everywhere. I'm telling you.
But this isn't going from like Crew to Liverpool. This is going to
Chelsea have done it in Holland. Chelsea have done it in Holland for years as well.
But okay. Maybe they have, but this is a lot more thought out, a lot more processed, and a lot bigger. For them being actually legitimately doing it. They're actually saying these clubs are in our group. Now, just two things I want to say to you. One, the lad's got an agent, so there's no way on God's green earth that he's allowing his clients to go to Man City for a lesser fee, on less money, on less wages. City have still got to pay the going rate for his wages and his money. If someone else, yous included, wanted to pay more money for him, the group as a business will be saying they're giving us more money. Of course.
So they get profits off the players.
Right. My point is though, and there's two bits of this. I think the player just has a lot more assurances when it's coming into like the City group than it is going
for them
from
being set up and having a structure where a player can develop in.
But that's not. Come on, it's not fair.
Why is it not fair?
I don't think that's fair.
So right. So it's
monopolising football.
It's not. If they were in the same league and in the same structure, it's monopolising football.
Well, all right, but they are potentially playing in the Europe.
They're not allowed to play in the same competition.
They potentially might play in the Champions League next year.
They can't though. They're not allowed to.
So what's going to happen if Girona win the league?
They're not allowed to play in the same competition.
But what's going to happen
then? Opt out. You can't play. That's already been decided.
I hope Girona win the league then just to see what happens because they're not going to.
They can't play in the same competition. You're not allowed to.
The other thing as well, which, and I've got less of an argument
for. Leipzig and Red Bull Leipzig in Germany and Red Bull Salzburg are not allowed to play in the same competition as well.
Okay, right, bit of a lesser argument, or I've kind of got less of an argument for it, but you're telling me as well there's not some aspect of financial fair play getting thingied in this as well. If you own all these kind of players and you can kind of say to the player, or say to the, because you own all the clubs, like his value, what's it called, like the market value of them could be down, because it's like, well, we're selling them to ourselves essentially, so we can almost pay what we want to balance their books, you know what I mean? There's got to be some of that.
Listen, well. I can't put my neck on the line and say that there's how much diligence there is around market value, but they're not that stupid.
It's like
when not that stupid to go and like that must exist.
They have been that stupid because that's why there's 115 fines against Man City because
but they're not. But I mean, from my understanding of it, a lot of them are around commercial deals of sponsorship, not around
those commercial deals
the ownership of players.
Have been going, yeah. But the commercial deals of sponsorship of saying, look, we're going to give you an extra 20 million. We're just going to make up a company that'll sponsor you. That's
You're not making up a company, by the way. The 115 charges are some of the biggest companies in the world, and that's the reason why you can't get them.
Yeah, because they're so big,
and
they just go, we'll give you 20 million, and let's just say that we've done this for you. You're going to do this for us, etc. But I'm saying, as a group, then they're then going, right, yeah, he's worth X amount. Okay, yeah, he might be worth 100 million. This kid, and they're going, yeah, he's a hot prospect. He's worth 25 mil. Do you know what I mean? These inflated prices or deflated, however they're working it to balance that club's books to that club's books to that. And I think the whole thing is done with Man City as the top at the table, and it's like,
well, they are the top of the table because they're the best club in the group, so they're going to get preference, and they're going to be the last destination for the best players. But isn't that in the interest of a player who's, if again, go back to your question of saying if I'm a player, would rather go to Real Madrid or Man City given the infrastructure? If you've got a son or a daughter who's looking to progress in football, would you rather sign for a Melbourne that could allow you to go to Girona or New York City FC and end up at Man City, or just sign for, whatever, Sydney in Australia and goal? There's no actual pipeline.
That's the thing. The hope is you just play well and get scouted. But I'm saying that this is that, and it's dead interesting. It's probably a decent place to end in. We're kind of at loggerheads here a little bit. I think it's unfair. You think it's fine.
I think it's fine. I get your argument completely.
But we both
I'm just
hate
saying
Man
that,
City though for what they've done, just for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
They've both bent the rules. They've both cheated. It stopped us from winning titles, and it's potentially meaning you might get relegated.
I mean, it's depending on what you mean by it means that we're going to get relegated.
Okay, well, I'll rephrase that. Man City acting how they act has stopped us from Liverpool from being more successful, and Man City getting away with what they do and Everton not getting away with it has meant you might get relegated.
Okay, it's a fair point. I guess Man City's charges have shone a light on what the Premier League have failed to act on, and we've been the victims of okay, we need to take someone down, and we can't get Man City because there's that much red tape there. There's that many lawyers that are wrapping us up in knots that we got to take someone down just to at least. So yeah, there's definitely merit in that argument. I won't argue with that.
It's a bit of a sour note,
which
was a good fun show.
You started almost on Pep the Baldy fella who's cheating, and then we ended up on Man City, the club that is cheating.
What can I say?
But let's end on that. We didn't mention this one,
which is interesting.
Your mate.
My busy,
no, I
texted him actually the other day. I was in Amsterdam the other week, and it was I texted him. Well, he made his debut, didn't he? And Southgate was there watching him, which was a bit of a surprise, I thought. But
I wasn't. He licked his ring.
I think it was his ring. I think it was a publicity stunt. I don't think he's got any inclination of putting him in the squad.
I absolutely do. I've got no doubt about it. I've got no doubt he'll pick him, and it's going to be the biggest uproar. I think when some of the players who've been outstanding this season get left out, and it's going to drive me mad.
I mean, I think the only two midfielders who are definitely going to be going are Bellingham and Rice. I think them two are the complete out. And I'm sorry, I'd add Foden's that as well. Sorry, even though he's not playing loads. But then it is open, I guess. But I just think it was a bit like him saying, "Look, I've said that if Jordan's playing competitive football, he'll be in. He's now made the move. I'll go and actually say, look." But I'd be very surprised if what's he had, like 10 games out in Saudi, and then I don't know, doubt it.
You've seen players in the past though be at somewhere and then go on loan to a better club 6 months before a competition to go. I need to get myself back to. And Beckham done it, didn't he, back in the day, and went on.
Yeah, he went to Milan,
PSG.
did he?
What was it, AC Milan?
Would you take Ross Barkley? Would you?
Listen, he deserves a call up at this stage. I'm not sure I'd say I'd take him right now, but you can't say there's many players in that position. I just look at the likes of James Maddison, who plays pretty much in his position, and I watched him at the weekend at Goodison, and he's streets ahead of him, and he's only just come back from injury. He's miles better than Ross Barkley. However, look, fair play to him. He's put himself in the
give him a chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And I'd never thought I'd be saying that. Certainly 12-18 months ago.
No, me neither. Maybe we'll finish off there. Thank you again for listening. Like Gary said before, he got us betting last week. Hopefully you get it in again this week, and your support on Patreon is massive for the pod, so please keep it coming. Don't forget our sponsors, IGD. You get 25% off if you type in Andy IGD at checkout. And our lovely venue, The Workshop. It's on Liverpool Road.
The corner of Liverpool and St John's Road.
There you go, in Waterloo. And if I say so myself, the best roasts in Liverpool. So get down this weekend. Tell them that the podcast sent you. And I'm sure they like us for that. And we'll see you next week.